So, hello, good morning to everybody. Once more, thank you for participating. Thank you for your interest, on the topic and on also on our company, on the products behind MyPV, but of course also behind Ökofen. As you have seen, we are doing a co-webinar together with our partner Ökofen. Maybe a few words to our company before we are going deeper into the discussion. As you can see on our first slide, our CEO, Gerhard Rimpler. Gerhard is also the owner or the shareholder of the company. Then on the right side, you see a colleague of mine, Talal Bhatt. He's an international technical expert in our sales team. He will go on then further with the presentations. And Andreas, myself, I'm responsible for the international sales in our company, MyPV. Maybe some milestones that you can see a little bit our development of the company, also behind a little bit our expertise. The company itself was founded in 2011 in Austria. MyPV is an Austrian company. It is located in the middle of Austria, in Upper Austria. A few more words later on. As you see on that timeline, we launched different products, the Elva, the AC Elva, AC Tor. 2019, then the big brother AC Tor 9S. Due to our development, due to our volumes which we are producing in Austria, we built a new company in 21. Afterwards, we launched the Elva 2. Again, in 2023, we expand our production side due to very, very strong development on our international markets. And last but not least, last year and now we are shipping the first products of Soltor. We had the market launch of Soltor, where we have got where we recognize quite a big demand internationally. Very, very interesting product. I mentioned before our company already. On the left side, you see our new company building, which we built up in 23. On the right side, you see our production sites. Few words more to our company. As I told you before, we are an Austrian company. We are located in the middle of Austria, in Upper Austria. For some of you who knows Austria a little bit better, we are located close to the capital of Upper Austria, to Linz, and we are located in a small city in Neuzeug, close to Steyr. I mentioned a few products before already. We will go in detail in that discussion today, so I will not tell you more right now. Talal will go then much more in detail. So thank you very much. That was a short introduction from my side. I think we jump over to our colleagues, to Ökofen. By the way, it's really a pleasure for me and a pleasure for us, as Ökofen is as well a very, very well known brand in Austria, but also in Europe. It is also located in Austria, and so it's a pleasure to do that webinar together. Okay, thanks. Then I hand over to my colleague.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Andreas, thanks a lot for inviting us for the webinar as well. As you perhaps know, we are Europe's specialist for real green heat. So we try to ban all the fossil fuels And that's why we have, for example, a heat pump, buffer tank, so thermal solar panels, and of course our main focus lies on the pellet boilers. I will explain a bit more about Ökofen, and then we will check the link with MyPV, which is really interesting for our system as well. Ökofen Benelux was founded in 2006 by Ludwig. You can see him here on the left. We are exclusive reseller in Belgium, Netherlands, and Luxembourg, but we only resell to HVAC professionals. So the end customer cannot buy directly from us. There's always an HVAC professional who's responsible for service and maintenance. But of course, we offer our own service to professionals. For example, trainings, assembly aid, and maintenance if necessary. For now, we have almost 9,500 pellet boilers in Benelux, more than 180,000 boilers worldwide, and we grow every year, of course. Yeah, a bit of the history. So, as Andreas already mentioned, Ökofen is also an Austrian company. It was founded by Herr Ortner in 1989. And let's say from the end of the 90s, there was a lot of growth in selling the central heating systems. We were always a bit the pioneers in the developments of pellet boilers and its technology. For example, in 2008, we had the development of the Pelematic Maxi for higher power output. In 12, we have the integration of the Stirling engine that works with helium and produces electricity via the residual heat. In other words, we have a pellet boiler that creates electricity in winter when it's most valuable. Now we have more than 180,000 installed pellet boilers in 17 countries. So that's already not many. So now I will give the word to Talal, I suppose, and yeah, we will elaborate on it further on.
Perfect. Thank you, Jan, for your introduction. And Andreas, you already elaborated quite MyPV. So as I said, history for MyPV is relatively, we are a young company. And considering what our focus is heating application using power from the photovoltaic. When photovoltaic comes into your mind, the idea is either you are doing EV charging or you are using that power for house loads. Yeah, minor interruption, but yeah, the idea for our side is we are doing domestic hot water application or electrical space heating. So that's our focus area. And together with the Ökofen, what we are offering is sorry, what we are offering is a solution that we could use power from the photovoltaic. But let's discuss more on the photovoltaic, how things comes into energy storage. Is that one we are considering energy storage medium, we are thinking of you putting a battery in the household. Yes, you can use a battery in house with the battery storage. Roughly, let's say the typical example in the European market, let's talk about 5 kilowatt. Yes, that's an option, but that comes with a huge capital cost. What we are seeing as alternate is that you can do more amount of energy storage in your boiler, in your geyser, in your water cylinder, and store more amount of energy with less investment, taking an example of 300-liter boiler. So that's a typical example how it could be done in with more savings and investing less on the storage mediums. So we have a small portfolio, which Andreas already mentioned, that we started with DC products, the DC Elva, which was our first product as from 2013, and then over the years we grow into AC products, DC products, which I will be highlighting in the slides, in the coming slides as well. Just as a note to remember that you will get the slides at the end of the webinar. And if you have any question, please feel free to drop down in the chat. So Andreas will help in the best way possible to answer it. Likewise, Jan is here from Ökofen side. So if you have any question in Dutch or French, he will be able to support in the best way possible. So let's start with our product portfolio now, starting from the DC Elva. So as I said, this is our first product in 2013. So it's been already in the market for more than 10 years now. The concept, or let's say the Elva means itself is, in German, it means electrical water heating. So the concept behind Elva is similar to solar thermal. So back 10 years ago, solar thermal was quite normal stuff. So what you have it in your rooftop was solar collectors, and then you have copper pipes coming to your boiler, to your cylinder, and that was a typical application of using solar power. But what we are saying is, what Elva concept is that now you just put PV panels, 4 to 8 panels on your rooftop, connecting them directly with the DC cables. And yes, during the day you are using all the power from the photovoltaic to heat up the water. So it's a 2 kilowatt unit, and it can do a linear power control from 0 to 2000 watt. What it means is that whatever power is there available, we are using that power, because there can be cloud on the horizon, there can be a rainy day, so power is continuously changing, and we are continuously adopting whatever power is available. What we are suggesting as an alternate is this: yes, during the night, during winter days when there's not enough sunshine, yes, there is a possibility from the Ökofen side that the Ökofen or the pellet boilers maintain the minimum temperature as a security, as a buffer, that minimum temperature is maintained in the boiler. So that's how it works in a combination with pellet system with the Ökofen. So that's the concept behind this. Yes, you can see there is a AC plug even in the slide. Let's go a bit slide back. As I said, there's also an AC plug. So yes, you can connect it with the grid as well. So additional 750 watt you can get from the grid as well, but it's not necessary. It's completely optional, and many consumer never ever connect it to the grid. They only connect it directly with the PV panels and using all the power from photovoltaic for heating application. Then comes, this is the positive side. Yes, you are using all the power from the photovoltaic, but you cannot connect this system with the inverters, with the batteries. So this system is only reserved for heating application. The panels are only being used for heating up the water. Similar case study. So this guy was early adopter, you could say. Now it's already in operation. It's already running for more than now 10 years, and it's an early adopter. So the point here was that yes, the advantage over solar thermal here is that you need a clear sky for hot water. There's a stratification issues. You do not need any maintenance for this electrical system. So those are the advantage. There is less material required, so it's less material intensive, so not much material is needed in order to install the DC ELVA, and those are some of the advantage which ELVA offers to the customer. So these are some technical details. I wouldn't go deep into them. All the data sheets, the assembly instructions, the dimension sheet are hyperlinked in the slides. So once you get these slides, you can go through them, you can open up the links, and that will guide you in the best way possible. So in the DC product, we have also a new product which Andreas already mentioned, that this is already into going into production, into delivery in the coming weeks. The product name is Soltor. So the concept is the same as I showed you the ELVA, the gray one earlier. Only the difference here is, for example, let's go 2 slides back to get the the concept, sorry. With the ELVA, yes, people ask, okay, which specific boiler they do need, because ELVA is all-in-one solution, meaning heating element plus the power manager. So you need to source a boiler which has 1.5-inch thread size and inner diameter, let's say, should be 46 centimeters. So you need to consider these 2 points in installing the ELVA. But with the new product, now we are not dependent upon the thread size or the inner diameter. This product offers more flexibility, more power. What it means is that more power from the photovoltaic can be used, so it can do a linear power from 0 to 3.6 kilowatts. So more power possibility is there, plus you can connect 1 panel up to 10 panels. So meaning you can connect the balcony photovoltaic as well in your apartment buildings, and can go up to as much as 10 panels because it offers more power capacity. Plus the IP rating is much higher, so you can install it outside of the house, so it's waterproof. So the IP rating is 54. That enables it to be installed outside of the house. That's other things which comes with it. As mentioned, the concept is the same. Like the ELVA, you connect directly with the panels, directly with the photovoltaic, and now you can connect the output with any existing boiler. So you are not concentrated of bringing the heating element outside of the boiler. Rather, if there's already an existing heating element, immersion heater, you can connect those immersion heater with the Soltor. It offers that you can connect up to 2 loads as well. So 2 loads are possible to be connected. It's completely off grid, but you can also connect it from the grid as well. And yes, as a backup power, there's always a Ökofen, and you can maintain the minimum temperature from the pellet heating as well. So when temperature drops down, Ökofen kicks in and maintains the minimum temperature. This product is relatively new product. So what additionally it offers is that there's a cloud system with it, so you can monitor or visualize everything online. The ELVA, which I showed you, it has just a data logger, so you can visualize it, but it doesn't offer the modern features like cloud, like different communication possibilities with the Wi-Fi, with the LAN, and that those features are possible with the Soltor. The data sheets are already linked in, so you can have a look later on. So that was all about the DC product. So if you have any question, please drop down your question, because now I would jump to the EC product, which are, let's say, for grid connected PV system. So what is the idea behind the grid connected PV system? There can be number of reasons. Number one reason which pushes more for my PV product is the self-consumption, the PV self-consumption. Why it pushes for that? Because there is feed-in tariff being introduced. There's already in Belgium, but in Netherlands as well. It's starting with the feed-in tariff as well. So if you export your power to the grid, you cannot make money out of it. Rather, if you use it at house, if you put a battery, that is expensive. What we are saying is you can use that excess power for heating. So that's also a possibility to do that. That can be a reason. Other reasons, yes, energy independence. You are not anymore dependent upon external sources. That can be gas, that can be electricity, and that can be other reasons. Other reason, grid stability, which Netherlands is really struggling because there's so much PV power in the grid, and the grid operators are struggling with so much power in their grid. The concept, what is our concept with the PV power? In case of PV power, now we are on the AC side of the system. So you have PV inverter. From the PV inverter, you are getting AC power in the house. So you have panels, inverter, and from the inverter, you are getting the AC power. So all the house loads are using that power. And once there comes a moment, there's excess power, there's surplus power. Either surplus power, if there's a battery, that surplus power goes to the battery. If there's no battery, or if battery is full, then that excess power goes to the grid. What we are doing is we are using exactly that surplus power for heating application, which I will explain you what are heating applications. But our focus in the AC products are that we are using that surplus power for water heating, for space heating. So that's our focus. So now we know that we are using that surplus power for heating. But now question comes on the other side, how we know how much surplus power we have it. So one option for the surplus power to measure, as I said, it's just one option to measure how much surplus power is that we have our own meter at the feed-in point, which measures exactly the surplus power. So we call it Wi-Fi meter. It's at the feed-in point. The meter itself is Wi-Fi, so you do not need to connect it. But alternatively, you can connect it with the cable. But the core concept is that it is Wi-Fi, and it communicates with our devices ACLWA2 and the AC Tor regarding the excess power. We are reading that surplus power 1 time per second, so that's extremely fast. It can be used in 3-phase, it can be used in single phase application. So that's one option to detect the surplus power. It's other option, which is very much famous from my PV, is that our devices are compatible with the digital meter, with the P1 digital meter, or I think in Dutch you call it slime meter, if I'm correct. Please correct me if it's wrong. But the idea is that we can measure the surplus power directly from the digital meter from the grid operator. So there are a number of grid operators. Flovius is one of them, and we can read that information through our P1 interface, or you could call it dongle as well. And through this interface, we can directly take the information. You do not need our meter in that case, and as long as the P1 port is activated, we can directly communicate with the meter. So that's one option for Benelux customers. So this option is only valid for the Benelux customers, because the digital meter, for my information, is only in the Belgium and Netherlands and Luxembourg. Other option to measure how much excess power is there is through our compatible partners. What it means is that there are smart home systems, energy management systems, PV inverters, and all of them have their meter at the feeding point. So if there's a meter from these brands in the feeding point, we can communicate with those brands. And in that case, you do not need our meter or P1 interface. This saves the cost as well, and it makes easier because you do not need so many meters in your cabinet, in your distribution box. We can easily communicate with these brands and get the surplus power information, how much excess power is there. Yes, there are more details, but I would say if you have further questions, you can write down to me on the email, or you can just drop a question in the chat as well. So let's start with our AC products. Let's go 2 slides back, because the question here, which from my side makes sense, or you need to ask, what's the difference between AC-LVA2 and the AC Thor? So here the answer to this question is both our products are doing linear power control, but in the case of AC-LVA2, we call it all-in-one solution. It's with the heating element and with the power manager. So everything is together. It might be easier for the installers, for the plumbers, because everything is just together. They just insert it in the boiler and that's it. In the case of AC Thor, it makes sense when there's already an existing heating element in the boiler. So you do not need to take that immersion heater outside, rather just connect the AC Thor with the existing immersion heater in the boiler. Now let's talk further with the AC-LVA2. So this is a second generation product. The earlier variant, maybe some of the viewers already know, the earlier version was AC-LVA-E, so it was the green one. Since 2 years roughly now, we have new generation. So in the new generation, you can assume that there are more features, learning from the concept, learning from the experience. What were the issues with the earlier variants? We have improved them, and in terms of improvement, it offers more power capacity, more communication possibilities, more power possibilities. So in the case of AC-LVA2, as I said, it can do a linear power control from 0 to 3.5 kilowatt. It means more power capacity. What we are doing is we are getting the excess power information from the meter at the feeding point, and we are reacting to that information. Likewise, when there's a night, when there's a cloud, when there's a winter season, the backup temperature can also be maintained with the Ökofen. There's a reference case as well, which I will also a bit go through at the end of the slides. But as I said, in terms of features, there's a Wi-Fi possibility. Again, there's a LAN communication possibility. And yes, you need to consider background noise is horrible. I am from our side, please confirm if anybody can hear the background noise, because from my side, the room is completely silent. So Okay, perfect. So Frederick, please check on your side. So again, there in terms of ACL2 installation, yes, you need to consider the typical thread size of 1.5 inch and then the inner diameter of the boiler. So these two things you need to consider when you are choosing a boiler. Other than that, I would say there's no specific thing. So these technical details you will get in the slides as well. So the idea is again the PV self-consumption. So if the system is without any battery or any self-consumption, your self-consumption is really low, it's roughly at 30%. But what we are saying is, yes, you can increase your self-consumption with the battery, but the costs for that are really high. That can go up to 60%. The cost for improving self-consumption with battery can be high. But what we are suggesting as alternate this, that you can do PV self-consumption with my PV by investing less amount. You can increase your self-consumption up to 80%. But nevertheless, our system can also be combined with the battery systems, meaning when there's a battery, the battery gets the priority, and once the battery charge is full, then that surplus power goes to your water storage. That's the idea, that system can combine with the battery storage as well. We have our own planning tool on our website, so we call it My PV Power Coach. It has, you can put your PV panel parameters, your feed-in tariff, your electricity tariff, how big is your boiler, how many people are in the house. There are already Dutch, Belgium locations, and you can get a report. I would say for consultation, for estimation, you can use this tool. It's free of cost. You do not need any registration. Just play with it and get the feeling on how much savings you can generate, which material you will need from my PV, and this gives you an estimation. So now we are coming on solar power diverters known as AC Thor, the single phase, and AC Thor 9S as a three phase. So you can see both are in the same box, but only difference is on the bottom side. On the left, it's the single phase, which can do a linear from 0 to 3 kilowatt. And then on the right, we have a three phase bigger brother, which can do linear power from 0 to 9 kilowatt. So that's also a possibility with bigger systems. Yeah, more into technical details. When you open up the box, yes, you get the temperature sensor with it, and everything is plugged on it, so you do not need to open the terminal boxes or anything. It's just plug and play for installers, of course. Again, on the three phase, yes, on three phase system, I would say it can do more power self-consumption up to 9 kilowatt, but you need to consider that you need to have neutral connections for our three phase system. If you want to use three phase 9S if you want to use AC Thor 9S in three phase grid, you need to make sure that it's a star connection. There needs to be a neutral connection. If there's no neutral, then you can use our single phase products. That's not an issue, but three phase you cannot use in that case. Similarly, schematic from AC Thor, how it looks like. All our new products, the AC Thor, the AC Elva 2, have also a color touch display, so you can visualize it, the temperature in the boiler, how much power being used for heating. So everything you can also see it on the touch display and as well as on our cloud. And that's how it you can play with the device. So the concept for the AC Tour is that it offers more flexible options, meaning if there's already a heating element in the boiler, yes, you can connect those. With the AC Tour, in this case, AC Elva 2 doesn't make much sense because you do not need to take any existing resistance out of the box. Likewise, the backup temperature can also be maintained in the by the Ökofen, and that's how it's being done already in Belgium. So this installation is already for 4 years in the field. Let's talk about this system. So the system is 9 kilowatt PV system with SMA PV inverter. And on the boiler side, yes, there's a 360 liter boiler from, in this case it's reflex boiler, and coupled with Ökofen maxi pellet, which of course Jan will highlight about Ökofen. But from the side, the summary, the advantage for the consumer is that yes, during the day when there's excess power, we are heating up the water as much as we can up to specific temperature which consumer can set. And yes, during the night, during the winter, when there's no more excess power, there's no more PV power, the pellet, the boiler from Ökofen maintains the minimum temperature in the tank. So the take-home message from this slide is that yes, it generates savings from my PV side and as well as sustainability, because both our company are, the concept is sustainability. So yes, on the other side, you are having sustainable heating system, and on continuing to this, you are generating savings from this system as well. So more details, I would say I could send you once you ask for it, I would say, but let's keep things simple for now. I would say yes, the idea is to use excess power for heating application, and during the night when there's a issue, when there's no more sun, there's a temperature sensor from Ökofen. It detects that there's the water temperature is coming down and down, and then pellet starts to kick in. So I would say that's from my side, from the my PV side. Now I would leave it to Jan to explain about his product side, how the pellets make it interesting for the consumers. So it's to you, Jan. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Talal. As you explained, we are both sustainable. We try to be sustainable companies. So of course, electricity via the solar panels, the PV panels are interesting, but we have to admit, in winter there are still a lot of months that there is no PV power available. And now I want to explain a bit why Ökofen is the best choice to link it with my PV and to work via pellets. So what are pellets? That's actually compressed sawdust derived from the wood processing industry. They will cut in Europe, they will cut trees, they will lose the bark, and 60% they will create construction wood. 40% are byproducts, and 12% of that 40% is sawdust. And it's that sawdust that they will compress into pellets. So we are a big fan of pellets because it's a residual product. We are not fan of companies that want to cut trees to make pellets of them immediately. So that's not the case. It's locally available, so we don't have to order those pellets from Qatar or from Russia in comparison with other fuels. And because of the controlled automatic combustion, it's environmentally friendly. So pellets, in comparison with wood, pellets are standardized and certified. To guarantee the high quality, we have the EN Plus organization. So if you want to order a trustworthy brand of pellets, you need to order EN Plus pellets. That's an organization that takes samples of pellets, and they check it for humidity, calorific value, traces of chlorine, traces of sulfur. And so if you want to order pellets, you need to check if the reseller has the EN Plus certificate, so you know it's high quality. I also want to talk a bit about particulate matter. So in Belgium, they are very good with talking about particulate matter. All the PM in the air is by wood and pellet burning, they say, but in that's actually not true, unfortunately. That's not true, because there are a lot of things that create particulate matter. For example, combustion, friction, or evaporation or of gases, petroleum, coal, cigarettes, rubber tires of cars that wear down, and maneuvers of aircraft even. But following the Flemish, the Belgian government, they say it's all by wood or pellet burning. That's actually not true. It's not the fuel, not the wood or the pellets that are the problem. It's the technology that's responsible for the emission. So, for example, an old wood stove can create 150 milligrams per cubic meter of air of particulate matter in the air. That's bad. That's not a good thing. But if you compare it with our pellet boilers, we are always beneath 20 milligrams of particulate matter per cubic meter of air. We even have a zero flame technology that makes sure the particulate matter is beneath 2 milligrams. So it's almost not measurable anymore. You can compare it to the particulate matter of a heat pump of another system. So that's not really the discussion anymore. But we have to be, yeah, we have to be sure this is the case. So to compare it, it's if in 1 year a modern pellet boiler like ours will emit about 1 kilogram of particulate matter. This is as little as caused by using a barbecue 5 times. So if people in your neighborhood say, no, I don't want a pellet boiler because of particulate matter, well, now you have some more information to deny this discussion. Why should you buy a pellet boiler? Well, first of all, financially, pellets are the lowest fuel price. It's in Belgium 50% cheaper than gas, 20% cheaper than fuel oil. It's of course, and that's one of the most important things for us, ecological. It's CO2 neutral if you don't buy them, if you don't order them from too far away. It has a low particulate matter emission. It's very convenient because there are no changes necessary to existing radiators, underfloor heating, convectors, and it provides domestic hot water via buffer tank or a domestic hot water tank. It's technically and technologically advanced. I will elaborate on that later. It has a modulating operation. It can modulate until 30% of its full capacity. We have condensing technology, and of course there's a remote control that everything can be arranged from a distance. Then ideological, well, pellets are, as I told, a regional product. You are independent, more independent than when you work with a heat pump or with a gas boiler. And of course, we have to be climate conscious. We have to lose all the fossil fuels and work with pellets and PV from and electricity from own PV systems. Our product range then, yeah, we have a lot of different products following a different power. So we have an output power of a minimum 10 kilowatts, sorry, and maximum 130, but that 130 can still be connected to each other in cascade, so the possibilities are limitless. We have that air water heat pump and our yeah, white products, let's say, with the cheaper products with less possibilities, but very trustworthy as well. And then the side products, the storage tanks, big or small, buffer tanks, and thermal solar panels. We have the classic technology. That's for high temperatures. I mean, like radiators or convectors. We have condensing technology. That's for as well as low and high temperatures. So underfloor heating is possible directly from the pellet boiler. And then the hot air technology. I won't elaborate on that. That's just for warehouses or something that there is no water created, but only hot air. So the Pelematic Classic has a power output of 10, 15 or 20 kilowatts, and then the bigger boiler has from 25 or 32, but still know that it can modulate until 30% of its output power. 69, almost 69% efficiency. We need a stainless steel chimney, and there is no buffer tank necessary. There is like 120 liters of water in the boiler, and it can be connected immediately via the pump to the radiators. Hot water can be via the buffer tank or a domestic hot water tank, in which we can input the resistance and for the my PV connection, of course. So this is the inside of the boiler. It's connected with a storage tank, I mean, and that storage tank can be next to the boiler or maximum 25 meters distance from the boiler. Once a day, there's a transport of pellets via the storage tank into the small storage tank here in the boiler, and then we will there's a screw that will provide pellets here into the combustion chamber. We will create temperatures from 800 until 1000 degrees, and we will heat the water that flows here into the boiler. And from the moment the water has the temperature that it needs to have, we will send it via the pumps that are always outside the boiler, and we will send it to the buffer tank, to the domestic hot water boiler, to the radiators, and so on. You see, here we have the pellets. Once they are burned, we create ashes, of course. The ashes tumble down, and then there's another screw who will put them into the ash box. Once the ash box is full, you'll receive a notification on your thermostat, on your app, so you know it's full, and you can empty it into the garden. There's nothing wrong with that. Normally, it's every 2 tons of pellets. So a bit depending on the boiler you have, of course, but you have to empty the ash box 2 to 4 times a year, mostly. Then we have the condensing boiler. Yeah, this is the inside is also stainless steel, so we have temperatures from 28 degrees on, so we can provide immediately, directly underfloor heating, floor heating. We have it from 10 to 18 kilowatts, but also in a bigger version, 22 to 32, and so on. On this boiler, there is also possibility to have the zero flame technology, so we have a particulate matter emission beneath 2 milligrams. As I told you before, we also have a condensed boiler that can create electricity, 900 watt Stirling engine on top. It works, you have to connect it with floor heating because with radiators the temperature will be too high, and the Stirling engine will only produce, let's say, 300, 400 watts, which is a bit less than with floor heating. The Smart XS is interesting because it's an all-in-one system. You have heating, of course. You have an internal buffer tank, and that's where MyPV is very interesting, because here you have a possibility to put the resistance into the boiler, and we can connect it all together, so it's an all-in-one system. For the installers, very interesting, but know that it's better to install it on the ground floor, because it's not too easy to dismantle it and bring it into the basement. And the last boiler I wanted to talk about is the Condense XL. That's our newest product. It has until 130 kilowatt output. It's a condensing boiler as well, and of course, as you know, we can connect it in cascade to each other. So we sold a couple of boilers for a hotel project. If you want to check it out, how it works and how it looks, you can always take contact, of course. So this is the inside. The technology always remains the same, but it's a bit bigger, more possibilities. Here you see there is a possibility of having 2 suction, to connect it with 2 storage tanks, let me say it like that. So because of the 130 kilowatts, the storage, then every boiler has its vacuum system, which can be connected to a manual or automatic filling system. The interesting part here is that you can start with a manual system, mostly for end customers, particular houses. You can start with filling with bags, 12 bags here in this small container, and later on, after a couple of years, you can change it to an automatic system. But you see, it takes some space. The distance between the boiler and the storage tank is up to 25 meters. It can be outside, placed outside, but it cannot rain on the storage tank. Humidity is not really a problem. And then they come to blow in the pellets into your storage tank, and you're safe for 1 year, 2 years, as you wish. As I said, a buffer tank is no obligation because our pellet boilers can modulate until 30%, but it's very useful when solar energy can be utilized. We have thermal solar panels, but nowadays a lot of people have photovoltaic solar panels, and that's where MyPV is interesting, as we already discussed. We are a big fan of MyPV because it's a standalone system that works with the P1 port. As Talal already said, it's independent of the number of phases on the electricity meter, unlike other systems. It's cheaper than other similar systems, and that's a bit, it has the same ideology, always the cheapest and most durable way of heating the water via self-generated electricity, and if that self-generated electricity is not available, via pellets. Thanks a lot.
Perfect. Thanks, Jan, highlighting what we offer together to the consumers. So we are at the end of webinar, very good in time. We have made it. So as I said, our devices also come with the cloud, so you can do monitoring, visualization, everything on it. It's free of cost. It comes with the device itself. For the installers, it's helpful because they do not need to visit the place. Rather, they can do the remote settings, or as to fix parameters or anything is wrong, we can do remotely from our support department as well. So this brings more advantage to the consumer. Plus, from our cloud, there's dynamic tariff. Those who know, there's a fixed tariff market, fixed contract with the grid operators, and now for quite some time, there's spot pricing or variable pricing contracts being offered as well. So our devices can also use when power is super cheap in the grid, they can use that power also from the grid. But for now, that's all. I would say all our information regarding how things work with the specific brand, access power information, the data sheets, everything you can get on our download center. Those are already available in French, Dutch. There are already case studies, nice case studies. Go have a look on them across Netherlands, across Belgium, how people have done it with the Ökofen as well, with the P1 meter as well. So you can find exciting information on our page as well. So coming to the end, through our support system, yes, you can fill out the form and we will get back to you as soon as possible on through this form. So you can put the device information, everything on that. And our products are available through Ökofen as well, so they would be happy to supply you as a combined package. So they would be offering that, and they would be happy to offer you further support as well. So from my side, once again, we did a team work. Andreas, Jan, everybody, thank you for your support. We did it good in time, and have a nice day. I guess people are maybe on holidays in the coming weeks, so wishing you nice holidays maybe. And from my side, Once again, thank you. It's a pleasure.
Empowering the solar future.